And in all my years, I have never seen a commercial airplane do what this plane did. So first off, to the flying public, yes, flying is safe. Accidents do happen. They are extremely rare. We haven't had a crash in the United States in 14 years, but when something like this happens, it raises the hair on the back of your neck. So the question now becomes, how did this happen? This ATR-72 was minutes away from landing. They were at 17,000 feet. They likely would have been on autopilot. The flight crew and the passengers would have been getting ready for a landing. The flight crew would have programmed in a descent rate, a speed, waypoints, and the plane would have been on autopilot. And all of a sudden, if you look at the flight radar data, which is public and available, the plane's forward motion literally stopped and went vertical. So how does a plane go from over 200 knots to basically zero ground speed in seconds? Well, there's only a few things that could cause that. You could have an engine failure. You could have a propeller control system failure. You could have some catastrophic flight control system failure. And this plane was flying into known icing conditions. It's hard to believe on a clear day that you can enter those conditions, but this airplane, the ATR, and ice do not get along well. Your viewers may recall the crash up in Buffalo a number of years ago. The plane is notorious for having dangerous flight characteristics and ice. So in this case, what do I conjecture that happened? I think that this plane probably encountered ice. I think there may have been some other failure mode, an engine failure, a propeller control system failure, which halted its forward movement and started this plane on this rapid descent. When a plane enters into what was a flat spin stall, you're basically flying an experimental airplane. It's not a condition for certification. And God knows what was going on in that cockpit at that point, but this plane is just not recoverable. The plane went from 17,000 feet down to the ground in just a little over a minute. That's a 17,000 foot per minute descent, which is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I'm watching these videos. They're so terrible, and I'm wondering what it was like for the people on that plane to go through that. I know it might be difficult to explain it, but if you can, what do you think they went through?
Well, when we prosecute these cases, conscious pain and suffering, what passengers go through during fatal sequences like this is always dramatic and heartbreaking. But I'm here to tell you that everyone on that airplane was alive and well and experienced the worst possible roller coaster ride that any human being can experience, ending in a fatality. The plane is falling, it's rolling, it's spinning, it's disorienting. You're subject to G-forces, which are beyond normal. You physically feel it on your body. And the level of fright that these people went through is just, it defies description.
I want to go back to something you said, because we're watching this, and you mentioned there could be a number of different reasons why this happened. Condition of the plane, climate, we're not entirely sure at this point. How do people have confidence? Because as you said, how prominent are these airplanes across the world, and why should people feel confident going on them? Because I wonder if there should just be a grounding of this type of aircraft until they figure out what happened, or is this just a really tragic one-off situation?
Yeah, well, that's a great question and a great thought. So first off, there's about 1,000 of these ATRs that are flying in the world. They're predominantly used outside the United States, the bulk of them. Some of them are flying in the United States. They've been subject to FAA review of its flight certification, and the findings have been somewhat equivocal. Everyone agrees that this plane, by design, and ice do not get along. It's a airplane with two gigantic jet engines with propellers on them that put out almost 3,000 horsepower per side. The wings are a little bit small for the size of the plane. It has a somewhat unique flight control system. It uses ailerons and spoilers for roll control. And when you put it all together and you put ice on a wing changes the shape of a wing. When you change the shape of a wing, you change its aerodynamics, and God knows what you end up with. It's a wing that was not the wing that the plane was certified with when it went through certification.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.